Ark of the Covenant is probably one of the best-kept mysteries in the world today.
It's the most important ritual object that Judaism has ever had.
Scientists at the Unexplained have uncovered the Ark of the Covenant's secrets. Imagine a powerful artifact with the potential to unleash unimaginable forces, a sacred object that has been the subject of countless legends and dark prophecies. But as we delve into its history, we uncover stories not of peace and protection, but of devastation and death. Could it be that the Ark's true purpose was not to guide, but to destroy? Join us as we explore the layers of myth and reality and reveal the horrifying truths that have been buried for centuries, exposing Genesis and Exodus. But here's the shocking part. New evidence suggests that the Ark wasn't just a religious symbol. Could it have been an ancient energy source, far beyond our understanding? Some researchers believe it might have emitted deadly radiation, explaining the catastrophic events associated with it. And if that's true, then who created it? Was it really the God of the Israelites or something else entirely? According to Zadok, some believe there shouldn't be a conflict between science and faith. If you take the story of Genesis as a matter of belief, then questions about how the world was created naturally come up. Many scientists, however, find it hard to believe that the entire world and all its life could have been created in just 6 days, as the ancient texts suggest. In the second book, Exodus, we find stories that seem to match more closely with historical records. Ehrman notes that in Exodus, the Israelites were slaves in Egypt, and Moses, following God's command, asked the Pharaoh to let his people go. When the Pharaoh refused, God sent a series of plagues until the Pharaoh finally agreed to free the Israelites. James Hoffmeyer suggests that the story of Israel's beginnings as slaves in Egypt might not be a myth, giving the narrative a sense of truth. Historical and archaeological evidence shows that between 1700 to 1650 BC, foreign groups, possibly speaking languages similar to Hebrew, started settling in Egypt. By the time of Ramesses II in the 13th century BC, significant changes occurred, including the building of a new capital, Pi-Ramesses, which is an important part of the Exodus story. But if Exodus really describes historical events, wouldn't we find physical evidence, like artifacts, from the Israelites' time in Egypt? Some scholars believe such evidence, including the famous Ark of the Covenant, might still exist. This Ark, said to hold the stone tablets with the commandments Moses received on Mount Sinai, remains one of the most fascinating artifacts, possibly supporting the remarkable events described in these ancient stories. Yet, even with all this, the mystery remains. How much of these ancient stories is history, and how much is legend? Long ago, a group of wanderers in the desert collected manna, a miraculous food that came from heaven. Alongside this, there was Aaron's staff, which once bloomed with almonds during a challenging time, serving as a clear sign from above. The Ark was kept in a secret inner sanctuary within King Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. It was both protected and deeply revered. But when the Babylonians destroyed the temple around 586 BC, the Ark's fate became a mystery. Some think it was destroyed along with the temple, while others believe it was hidden away to keep it safe from being captured or misused. But that wasn't the worst part. The mystery of the Ark's whereabouts has captivated generations of archaeologists and biblical scholars. Their research and expeditions have focused on verifying historical accounts from the Book of Exodus and possibly finding the Ark's location. If discovered, the Ark could prove biblical stories and might even hold immense power, as it once did in ancient battles. Next, let's explore the deeper meanings behind the Ark of the Covenant, the quest for the Ark of the Covenant. In recent discussions among scholars, the idea that the Ark was purposely hidden has gained more support. This theory suggests it was a strategic move to protect the Ark from being exploited. The ongoing search for the Ark is filled with both historical curiosity and spiritual significance. Many see it as a direct link to the divine, and its discovery would be a momentous event in both history and religion. The pursuit of the Ark continues to draw interest, blending archaeological research with spiritual exploration. This ongoing fascination reflects our deep desire to connect with the past, and through that, to the divine. It shows our persistent quest for knowledge, understanding, and the sacred, unseen elements of our world. Someone once mentioned that the glory of God isn't just a poetic phrase, it's something real, tangible, and full of energy. The conversation highlighted that many people might not fully understand the deep importance of a special holy box mentioned in the scriptures. It was pointed out that this box is much more than just a religious symbol. It might even involve some kind of ancient technology, making it an interesting topic even today. In a small community near Houston, there's a church called the King of Saints Church. At first glance, it might look like many other churches, but there's something unique inside. This church houses a very precise replica of the Ark of the Covenant. Stephen Missick shared that he and his father built this replica to bring the scriptures to life in a special and engaging way. It wasn't just about reading or looking at pictures. This was a three-dimensional creation made exactly as described in the scriptures. The Bible, especially in Exodus chapter 25, gives detailed instructions on how to make the ark, including all the measurements. According to the Bible, the ark has two cherubim, which are winged creatures facing each other, just as seen in this replica. These cherubim have the body of a lion, the face of a man, and the wings of an eagle. While other depictions might show angelic figures with wings, this model sticks closely to the descriptions found in the book of Ezekiel. The cherubim look towards the mercy seat, which is the cover of the ark. The congregation sees this replica as a meaningful way to honor God's rule, viewing the ark as a symbol of God's kingship and authority. This special display isn't just a piece of religious art, it's a connection to the divine stories of their faith, offering an engaging and deep experience beyond regular worship. But that's not the only remarkable thing about this church. There's more to uncover that might change how you see these ancient symbols. God communicated in two main ways, through spiritual connections and through written scriptures. The Ark of the Covenant is a key example of this, showing just how important these connections were. Throughout history, the Ark has been a deeply sacred object in both Jewish and Christian traditions. God instructed Moses to create a special container for the 10 Commandments with very specific dimensions, about 3 3/4 feet long, 2 1/4 feet high, and the same width. The ark was to be covered in gold, both inside and out. Now, discover how the ark connects people to the divine. Harnessing the ark's power. The ark had a golden lid called the mercy seat, which was often referred to as God's throne. This idea comes from a verse in 1 Samuel that describes God as reigning between two cherubim, which were angelic figures on the ark. This means the ark was seen as more than just an object. It was a symbol of God's presence on earth. People would approach the ark to seek guidance from God, making it a crucial point of connection between the divine and the human world. But that wasn't the only role of the ark. It also played a vital part in battles. The Israelites believed that carrying the ark into battle made them unbeatable because it represented the presence of God fighting alongside them. So, the ark wasn't just a religious symbol. It was also a source of hope and strength in times of war. This idea of the ark as a representation of divine power shows just how deeply it influenced the lives of the Israelites. It wasn't just an object. It was a powerful reminder of God's presence and his ongoing relationship with his people. As long as the ark was with them, they felt protected and guided by God himself. But the story doesn't end there. The connection between the ark and the people highlights its deep spiritual significance. It wasn't just about having a sacred object. It was about the living relationship it created between God and the everyday lives of the people. This is why the Ark of the Covenant remains one of the most fascinating and revered artifacts in the religious history of Judaism and Christianity. In the southwestern part of France, far from the centers of Rome and even more distant from Jerusalem, there's a fascinating story. It's said that the Ark of the Covenant, a sacred artifact, might have been hidden not in Rome, but in a 13th century French fortress known as Château de Montségur. This old fortress, perched high in the mountains, is often connected with tales of the Ark, suggesting it could have been kept there at some point in history. Stories about the Ark are spread across France, with legends placing it in various locations over the centuries. One of these places is Montségur, a mountaintop that was once a stronghold for the Cathars during the Middle Ages. The Cathars were a deeply spiritual group, which has led some to speculate that relics of great spiritual significance, like the Ark, might have been brought to them from the Holy Land. The possibility that the Ark could have ended up in southern France intrigued many people, including high-ranking officials in Nazi Germany during the 1930s. The Nazis, especially Heinrich Himmler, were obsessed with collecting ancient relics. They even sent multiple expeditions to the Pyrenees Mountains, focusing on Montségur in hopes of finding the Ark. Today, you can still see traces of their search, like excavation marks left behind in the mountains. But despite all their efforts, the Nazis never found the Ark at Montségur. Their interest in the Ark wasn't just about uncovering a legendary artifact. They believed it held incredible power. According to the Bible, the Israelites carried the Ark into battle, and it was said to unleash a powerful force against their enemies. Its mere presence could even call down lightning against enemies. To the Nazis, this kind of power was incredibly tempting, as they believed it might help them build an empire that would last forever. Let's see how modern culture and science view the Ark's powers. Science or myth? In the movie Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the amazing things the Ark could do weren't just made up for the film. These stories come from Jewish traditions in the Midrash, where the Ark is described as a very powerful weapon. Because of this reputation, many warriors wanted to take it into battle, hoping its power would help them win. The Bible tells a dramatic story about the Ark being transported to Jerusalem. The cart it was on hit a bump, and the Ark nearly fell. A man named Uzzah reached out to steady it, but when he touched the Ark, he was struck down by God. This event showed just how dangerous and powerful the Ark was, and it made people both scared of and in awe of it. Some people think that the Ark's fearsome powers might be explained by science rather than divine power. The Bible describes the Ark in great detail, with specific measurements and materials. This has led some to believe that it might have been a kind of energy storage device, like a capacitor, especially since it was covered in gold, which is a good conductor of electricity. But the story doesn't end there. The possibility that science, not just faith, could explain the Ark's power adds another layer to the mystery. Inside the structure, there's a layer made of a material that doesn't conduct electricity, like wood. Beyond this, the inner surface is coated with gold. This setup is similar to how capacitors are made in electrical engineering. Capacitors have layers that alternate between materials that conduct electricity, like metals, and those that don't, such as plastic or glass. On top of the structure, there are designs that look like wings pointing upward. If you look at modern electrical devices like Tesla coils or Van de Graaff generators, you'll see they often have a sharp piece at the top, usually a needle or metal extension. This part plays a key role in how electricity moves through the air, allowing electrical arcs to jump. This setup is strikingly similar to the ancient Ark of the Covenant. According to historical beliefs, the Ark could harness a kind of electromagnetic energy. This energy wasn't considered mystical or spiritual. It was thought to be technological, rooted in the physical sciences. But the exact nature and capabilities of the Ark are still a mystery and continue to intrigue scientists and historians alike. High in the mountains of northern Ethiopia, over 1.5 miles above sea level, lies the city of Lalibela. Despite being remote and difficult to reach, Lalibela is a major pilgrimage site. Every year, many pilgrims make the tough journey to this city, drawn to its 11 uniquely built religious sites. These sites, carved directly from the rocky landscape, offer a rare blend of natural beauty and human craftsmanship. But the journey to Lalibela isn't just a religious duty, it's also a physical challenge that many take on with deep commitment. The path involves steep and rough terrain, testing the endurance and devotion of the pilgrims. However, the reward at the end, seeing and experiencing the sacred sites of Lalibela, makes the tough trek worthwhile. The city not only offers spiritual fulfillment, but also a chance to connect with a piece of living history, showcasing centuries of religious tradition and architectural innovation. Moving on, we journey to Lalibela, a place where history and faith come alive. The strange architects of Lalibela's underground sanctuaries. But this isn't the whole story. There's more to Lalibela than just its stunning architecture and spiritual significance. The city is a living testament to a culture that has endured and thrived in a challenging environment. Lalibela is one of Africa's most fascinating historical sites. What makes it truly unique is the set of 11 huge churches found here. Unlike most churches that are built from the ground up, these were carved straight down into the rock, making them an incredible architectural wonder. Usually, when churches are constructed, they are built piece by piece, starting from the ground. But Lalibela is different. Here, the churches were shaped from the top down, carved directly into the earth. This is the only place in the world where you'll find churches that are not built up, but dug into the ground. Another interesting aspect of Lalibela is the unique carvings and symbols found on the walls of these rock-hewn churches. These carvings make people wonder about their meanings and how they connect to the church's history. For instance, in the Church of St. Mary at Lalibela, the Star of David is clearly visible among other symbols and designs. Some believe that this might point to the involvement of the Knights Templar in the creation of these churches. The Knights Templar were a well-known group during the Middle Ages, famous for their skills in both battle and building. They were deeply interested in construction, geometry, and numerology, combining practical knowledge with spiritual and mystical beliefs. They were experts in masonry and architectural design. But was this the most surprising part? Not quite. The big question is whether the Knights Templar were really in Ethiopia during the time these churches were carved. Historians and scholars still debate this, adding even more mystery to the story of Lalibela. If true, it would mean there was a stronger connection between this far-off land and the medieval European crusaders than we might have thought. Once, an Armenian mapmaker mentioned that he saw people dressed in red and white clothes with either blonde or reddish long hair. This might suggest that he was describing Templars. It's possible that the Templars were involved in building Lalibela or helped King Lalibela with the construction. Could the Templar stonemasons have had a hand in shaping the churches at Lalibela? And if they did, what was their motive? When you take a close look at Lalibela, you'll find altars with spaces that seem perfectly sized to fit the Ark of the Covenant, measuring about 4 feet long, 2 feet wide, and 2 feet tall. Some believe that these rock-carved churches were made to protect the Ark of the Covenant. This golden box, which held the original 10 Commandments, might have been hidden in Lalibela long ago. During the Crusades, the Templars were known to occupy the Temple of Solomon. This has led some to think they might have been the protectors of the Ark of the Covenant. Lalibela, with its underground construction, feels like a place deeply tied to history. These churches, carved out of massive stones, look like strong defensive fortresses. The different unique symbols found in Lalibela suggest a Templar influence, hinting that the site might have been a strategic fortress meant to protect something valuable. What do you think? Could the Templars have hidden ancient secrets in Lalibela? Like, comment, and subscribe for more.